everyone, I'm Alicia Esposito, and I'm thrilled to have with me right now, Gary Sankary with Esri. Gary, thanks so much for taking the time.
Oh, my pleasure.
So we're here at NRF, always the key event to uncover the top trends, tech, basically imperatives for retailers.
Oh, no doubt. It's the biggest show of the year. I mean, it's just, you always come out of here by Tuesday, your head's spinning with all the things that you see.
Yeah, but I mean, with that, has there been an opportunity for clarity for you around, what are the key trends, what are the key things that retailers are talking about right now?
I do, and I'm a veteran of the show, so I've been here long enough. I've seen things that come and go. Last year, a lot of the conversation was about big data. I mean, all of the different solution providers here, you got to have your big data strategy or data lakes. What I didn't see last year was a lot of, what do I do with that data? We were collecting it, but I need to find insights in it, and how do I find insights? And this year, there seems to be more focus on solution-oriented approaches, which I think for us in the GIS world is really great, because we've always been right at the intersection of big data. When you attach location technology against that, you have a way to interrogate all of these disparate data sources. And for us, being able to find those insights around, right now our customers are keenly interested in their market development. How do they grow their existing stores? How do they make sure that the locations that they're opening are in the best location possible? Who are their best customers? How are they growing these markets? So we're talking to a lot of folks about how they can, you've got disparate data sets that are describing different aspects of your market performance, bringing them all into a geographic system like ours, and being able to interrogate those layers.
Yeah, no, it's really fascinating, and I'm glad you brought up the point of insights being a key talking point, because I noticed something very similar, that it's about democratizing all of that information within your key systems and making it usable, not just accessible, right, for everyone in the organization.
You have to come to these solutions with the question of what you're trying to answer, right? Otherwise, you're just going after a shiny object.
Yeah.
So when we talked, like this morning, we had a presentation with Jessica Bohr from Estée Lauder.
Okay.
And fantastic. Estée is doing some really amazing things with one of our partners who's here today, Jacala, to really leverage their CRM, to take a look at their, who their customers are, to help to understand them better through data enrichment and the application of geographical attributes, but then at the same time making it real with these individual customers. What stores are they coming to, and how are they able to build their trade areas to be sure that the marketing and the assortments that they put in those stores are relevant to those customers?
Yeah, I could imagine that, brands like Estée Lauder, I mean, that's a really fascinating use case, because it's not like they have their own branded storefronts that, they have to navigate.
Well, actually they do.
Oh, they do?
They do. Yeah, they're a great example. What we see a lot of today is there's kind of a blurring in the market of, pure play retailers and then suppliers and manufacturers. Mm-hmm. So we've got companies that have their own brand in the doors, the department stores, they're in the specialty shops, but they also have their own channel. And as we're starting to reach these customers, for those brands, understanding who their customers are and where they're able to put a new location is really critical, especially for someone like Estée Lauder, who's got, I have customers that I want to keep happy, and at the same time there's market opportunity for my branded stores. Right. So how do we balance that and make sure that we're getting finding those seams in the market to drive growth? And today especially, the markets are pretty crowded places, so finding those seams and finding places where there's still incremental growth opportunities is really what we're supporting.
Right, and I think also too, the value of being able to make more strategic decisions around where are you going to put your stores. Absolutely. Because we're facing so many issues around store closures. Of course, a lot of stores opening as well. Yeah. But it's how do we find, like you said, the right customer? What markets are they in? Uh-huh. And looking not just for the competitive opportunity, but where does it make sense for us?
Well, I can tell you from our customers, the best-in-class retailers are really looking at their markets far more holistically. Okay. Because there's growth opportunities, but there's also optimization opportunities. So I would expect that you would want to rationalize your stores, even that have been open for a long time, to look for, what can I get? I've got to get a 2 or 3% sales growth out of a store that's been open for a long, long time. To be able to do that, it may require an assortment mix, it may require some change because the area around that store could have changed. And using a tool like ours to keep your store current with whatever the existing population is becomes important. Now, when you tie that to your CRM, and you can start to see with human movement data where your customers are actually coming from, it creates a whole different trade area profile for your store.
Right. I mean, in a way, you're providing a deeper level of context. So context has been coming up a lot during the show as well, largely through the perspective of, the contextual view of the customer. But this kind of puts like a mirror image on this, right? It's the customer and the business, everything you need.
So, the good news for us, location is what drives context. And we know that customers, they want relevancy, but they want it within the place and time of where they are. And so, that's our bread and butter. We are a location intelligence company. So being able for the retailers to find those insights about those customers where they are becomes really critical.
Right. Excellent. So we talked a little bit about, opening new stores or refining strategies around existing stores that may need a little boost in revenue. I mean, what other practical use cases are there? Like looking at it through the lens of say, marketing. You touched on merchandising or assortment a little bit.
Marketing, merchandising. I mean, at the end of the day, your customers are, in the market. They're getting assailed with messaging. They're getting, there's a lot of noise out there, and the folks who are being the most successful retailers are the ones that are putting experiences and products and messaging and all tied together for one branded experience.
Right.
And that's, I think, where where our technology in particular becomes particularly valuable, because all of those different attributes I just talked about, whether it's a marketing message or whether it's what's happening at your POS and how your items are selling, all of that data, again, going back to my discussion of disparate data, it's all different. So being able to unify that and interrogate it and find the correlations that tell you what's important in that market for those particular customers, and then being able to extrapolate those correlations to other stores, other locations.
Right. Well, and it seems like the value is clear, the opportunities are clear, and there are many. But I mean, what are the barriers for retailers? I mean, are there any components of this that executives are having trouble wrapping their head around, that you are trying to navigate, or pain points that if they're saying like, we want to do this, but we're not quite sure how to get things moving? And that could be systemic, that could be cultural, I'm not sure what it may be.
I think there's some cultural things. The real estate departments and the business intelligence groups are already on board, they get it.
Right.
For the merchandising side, they have to sort of think about how they're going to pull this data in and actually because they need execution tools to say, if I've got 1,000 stores, how do I execute 1,000 different assortments? But there are tools out there, and our data at least can give them the direction to how they move in that direction. We also support things like, if you want to do home delivery or last mile or BOPUS, and there's issues with, they're still working on how to make that profitable, right? And so I know, like when I talk to retailers about a home delivery strategy, and they want to scale it from their individual stores, it unscales itself really, really quickly. So being able to provide from our solution, the best routing and the delivery management services, and from a customer service standpoint, being when you're late, being able to tell your customers downstream what's happening, all of that is inherent within what we do at GIS, and so we can help them to take some of the expenses they're incurring out of that last mile supply chain.
Yeah, and BOPUS and last mile are rising to the top as far as priority.
That scale, the scale on that. When you've got pickers in your stores and you're trying to build, which ones do I start with first, and how do I stage these orders so when the customer comes? With our technology, you can do things like geofencing, and you can understand which customers are leaving their homes and where are they coming from. And just from a transit time, I can start to do some of that prioritization. That becomes a way for them to, make sure that when the customer arrives at the store, it's ready to go.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating how all of these trends are almost starting to interlock, I feel like, more than ever.
Yeah. Well, that's unified commerce, right? Yeah. That's why I hate the term, omni-channel. It's really a unified commerce. I'm trying to give my customer a 360-degree brand experience, right? So that when they interface with me as on a BOPIS order, and at the same time when I'm doing something online and it's coming to my home, or when I'm in the store shopping, it's all consistent and it's all relevant to me.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up, because my last question for you was around, what you believe will be the key trend of 2020. This is the trend casting type event for retail, so I think it's only appropriate that we close out with that. Is it going to be the year that unified commerce really comes to a head, or what else is going to rise to the top?
I think unified commerce is already here, right? I think what we're seeing now is we're starting to see a separation in retail between the winners and those who are struggling with it, and the customer attitudes have shifted to where now, buy online, pick up in store, for example, is table stakes for a lot of companies, and customers are making decisions about who they shop based on the retailer's ability to deliver the services that they expect. And so, for us, we're here to help those retailers to execute those strategies efficiently, cost effectively, and to provide them with the analytics afterwards to make it sustainable.
This has been so insightful and so informative, a lot for me to think about, I'm sure, for all the executives watching today. So Gary, thank you so much for taking the time out. And thanks everyone out there for watching.